Welcome to Creative Vitality Jam Sessions. Here we have intimate conversations with extraordinary dance and theater artists about reimagining creativity and supporting and building community. CVJS and I walk in solidarity and as allies for equality, justice, and respect. Black Lives Matter. And please, may I little reminder to get out there and vote. It's so important. I'm Helen Pickett, and today's guest is Katlyn Addison, first soloist with Ballet West. Katlyn and I have known each other since 2012. Welcome. Hello, Katlyn.
Hello.
Hi. So good to see you.
It is so good to be here. Nice to see you.
So I just have to say right off the bat that even though we haven't seen each other in quite a while, we were in each other's lives peripherally because you actually did this role in the Crucible. You were guest artist, guest soloist with the Scottish Ballet. We'll get to that later, but I just had to mention it right off the bat because we've been in each other's lives without really being able to work with each other or touch each other, or so we'll get to that later. But
we have.
Yeah. So I'm so happy to have you as a guest here. It's just really good to see you, basically. That's what this is really about. It's talking with friends, extraordinary artists. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
First, I'm sorry?
I said thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. First question for everyone. What part of the world are you in?
Well, I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, so the United States.
United States. So, Katlyn, I'd like to start with your choreography, actually. What inspired you to go down this creative route? I saw a bit of The Hunt and Hidden Voices, so I found that story emerges as an important component for you in this relatively new reimagining of yourself. How does story figure in, and where do you find your inspiration?
Well, at first, I did not know I had this creative choreographic side of me. It was actually one of the academy teachers for Ballet West was like, Katlyn, I think you should submit something for Beer and Ballet that Ballet West does to allow company dancers to create for the main company. So she was like, I think you should just try creating something and submit a proposal of a piece that you may do. So from there, I was like, I don't know if I am a choreographer or not. But then I just thought of something and I was like, you know what? I would love to create something to African drums. I would love to create a cultural piece that is keeping like classical and neoclassical dance moves, or I should say style, within my classical work, but then having them dance to African music. And I just submitted that. And then from there, it grew. So Hunt ended up becoming that piece where I created a piece that I had a live drummer on stage where he was, he played the bass for us. And it sounded like it was heavy and like a heartbeat of a drum. And I tried to use some African moves into the piece. And so that was my first piece that I created. And then I was like, oh, I sort of like this choreographing thing, right? I'll say thing at first. And then Hidden Voices, the next piece I did for Ballet West, which The Hunt, I would say that was my first piece I created on Ballet West, the main company. And then The Hunt was the second one. Hidden Voices was my second piece. And that one, I really, then I feel like tapped into this creative side of myself where I wanted to create a hymn. I actually really liked, oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. Oh my goodness, there's a famous composer, I cannot believe, Dvorak, Anthony Dvorak, oh my goodness. He had a piece of music that I just fell in love with. So I dug deep into who he is and what his backstory was. And then from there, I found out that he was influenced by African hymns. And
I didn't know.
yeah, I didn't know either. And that was a major influence in his, I think his Coming to America composition that he created. So from there, then I was like, oh, well, how do I create a piece yet again, going back to sort of my background, my roots, and then also with this classical composer and collaborating a piece. So then became a creation, and I actually was able to get a lady to hum some hymns, some old hymns, spiritual hymns. And I did a collaboration with Dvorak's music and the spiritual hymns, and that was my second piece that I created for Ballet West, called Hidden Voices. And I don't know, I think from there it just sort of planted a seed in me that I wanted to express myself, and choreographing became, it felt like my voice through my movement. And many times my inspiration comes from the music, as you, you can hear. It's the music that leads the moves, and the dancers that I've chosen to use predominantly end up being men, which is, I am a woman dancer, you know, and many times, I don't know why choreographing, I'm attracted to creating on men, but this actually fall, I'm creating a piece on the University of Utah. And that one, it's an all women's piece. And yet again, this music is leading my piece by Joseph Liang, the Chevalier de St. George. And he was a major influence in the great Mozart. So it was,
Yes.
yeah.
I just actually read this. I read this article in the New York Times.
Yeah.
And what does Hidden Voices mean, if I may ask?
I didn't have, there was no, it's sort of the hidden voices, like going back to Dvorak didn't really talk too much about his influence.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
On this hidden voice that inspired his position. So it's relating to the hidden voices that are within so much
Right?
That's not really talked about. So yeah. And then this new piece, I just have it, I want it to be just simply about St. George, the composer, the fenceman, and the beautiful violinist. So it's, I don't know, it's the history and the music that moves my soul, and that if I feel it inside, then I want to create to it.
Yeah, and also what I find what you're doing with your pieces is you're doing exactly that, the beautiful, conversation, but between two or three or four components, right? But what you're also doing is you're writing certain people back into history.
Yeah.
Which is really what needs to happen in order for us to recognize them. And also something that you're doing, which I've been saying quite a bit over the, maybe the last 15 years, is when I work with, let's say college age kids, I always remind them it's not a bad thing to recognize where you've come from.
Yeah.
And your history. It doesn't take anything away from you. It adds to your story, because we all know as we grow that it's all of the different components that comprise who we become and who we are.
And who we are. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, thank you for recognizing that. Yeah, I think it's so important when we go back to our roots, and just to know the power of knowledge, like the power of understanding, and knowing just a little bit can go such a long way.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you. So, you have danced a vast repertoire in working with many creators and in a few companies. In this reimagining throughout your career, what were the key turning points for you as an artist? And what roles challenged you and created growth?
Well, I have quite a few. And actually, talking to you, Helen, I feel like one at Ballet West, but Never Have I Ever. Is that correct? Is that what that ballet is called?
Oh, no, but never doubt I love.
But Never Doubt I Love.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, that ballet, when I joined Ballet West, that one really pushed you. I was a new dancer into the company.
I remember.
You pushed me to just step out of my bubble. And I was a new core dancer at Ballet West. And I was like, I didn't know my position. You know how classical ballet.
Trio, right?
Pardon me?
You did the trio, right?
I did the trio. Yeah. I did the trio. And I had a little solo actually too.
Yeah.
So that was one that I feel like made me realize, okay, even though I don't feel confident, I need to, that was the first like trigger I want to say. But if I didn't feel confident, that was, I got to fake it. And I got to.
Or rather than, let's just, because I don't think you, I don't think you faked it at all. You might have not had the confidence, but you found your way through. That's not faking it. That's a journey.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's true. So the journey, it was like a acknowledgement of, okay, Kat, you have a new journey, a new pathway you need to follow through. And then there was another one actually with going further back with Houston Ballet, where I did Christopher Bruce's, oh my goodness.
Rooster?
Yeah, no, Christopher Bruce's Giggling in Your Face.
Okay.
That was another one that really pushed me to challenge myself as well, and to go on that journey of, okay, you're going to be put into positions where you need to command the presence of the audience, to bring everyone in, for me to feel something, and then also express that and show it through my movement and my dancing. That was one when I was at Houston Ballet in the core. And then more recent ones are games that we did about 3 years
That challenged all of us, I think.
I think games, when was that, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 3 or 4. It was a big challenge for all of us.
That one was another one that I feel like, I even think you even noticed too, where I felt like I was dancing freely without judgment. Yeah, that was a pivotal moment in my career. I want to say Sugar Plum Fairy with Ballet. This, I probably sound so silly, but Sugar Plum Fairy about 5 years ago when I did that with Ballet West, that also was, that one really like changed.
Yeah, I think we have a question about that later, don't we?
Yes, we do have a question. That, and I'll chat more about that, but that was another pivotal moment in my career where it made me feel like I am a classical ballerina, like I'm actually really seen as a classical ballerina. My aesthetics, my lines, my technique, I am a ballerina.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
you are.
And I am. And then also just last year, dancing a Scottish ballet. That was a huge challenge to go back and forth for 12 weeks dancing. Again, another one of your works, Helen, and Christopher's work as well, where he put me as the principal dancer, as the Snow Queen in the ballet, the Snow Queen. And I mean, as a ballerina, you want to be what the story's about. You want to be the Cinderella, you want to be the Juliet and Romeo and Juliet. And not everybody does, but I personally would love to, you know. And that was another challenge too, because I had to tell the story from the beginning through the end. I had to stay in character, and I had to evolve that character throughout the whole ballet. From the beginning to the end, I was telling the story nonstop every time I got on stage. So that was a huge, another really pivotal moment, I feel like, in my career. So.
And so they created growth in you. They moved you forward. Okay, beautiful. Yes. So yeah, actually going into that Scottish ballet period of time, 12 weeks. So you were a guest soloist with them in 2019, and you danced, as you said, the Snow Queen, which is principal role of Christopher Hampson's new ballet. Beautiful ballet, those sets and the costumes. I haven't had a chance to see the ballet, but I did have a chance to see that, and they're extraordinary. It is a world really to step into. It's magical. And then you did first soloist role of Tituba in my ballet, The Crucible.
Yes.
I didn't even have a chance to work with you. This is, it's something I pride myself on, but it was just, there was no getting there. It wasn't feasible. So I didn't have a chance to work with you in the role. So what was this experience like for you to step into such oh boy, it is a dramatic role, to step into this role? How did it take shape? How did you chip away at this role? How did it take shape for you? And do you have a video so I can see you do it?
I can see if we can find a video for
That
you.
would be wonderful.
That would be great. But yes, you were missed. Your coaching was missed, but they did write a lot of notes on what you expected out of the movement quality and the dancing of that role. So that was given, and I tried to achieve that. But Tituba was, I want to say, a heavy character role.
It is heavy.
And like I expressed earlier, I like to learn about the role that I'm going to do. And I researched a lot on Tituba, and it was hard because as a woman of color, I was imagining myself in that world, and I think it was heavy. It felt every night I got off stage. Honestly, Helen, I felt drained.
Yeah.
And
I imagine.
Yeah, some nights I actually like teared up a little bit when I went home, because I was just thinking, how somebody who was an innocent individual could be treated so wrongly by not just one person, but everybody around her,
And you were one of many.
And
the
I was
injustice was so vast. Yeah. And talk about the weight of history.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah. And also the history that we're repeating right now in 2020. It's becoming too close for my comfort, that it could, happen to myself, anything that is even happening now in 2020.
Yeah, but our vote is our voice. Our vote is our voice.
Yeah. So going back to this role as Tituba, though, it was I really actually enjoyed it because it forced me to dive deep into my acting and becoming that character in that role. Like there was challenges there too, because I wanted how I was feeling to be seen and perceived. And for the audience, whenever I got on stage, they saw Tituba in that time. So, and I really hope that was felt. And yeah.
Well, also, what I really tried to do with the piece was to show the history. So you also had that beginning where you are a part of community, where the community was a positive and a whole and united through, faith and belief and the good of the whole. That was, to try to make the drop so, much heavier. And then you have that pivotal scene in the middle where you're accused. And then what I want to talk about now is the Transcendent Solo, when this group of women are in the jail together, and you have that moment where you're, like it says in the play, you've flown away.
Yeah.
Basically, you've exited reality. How did you find that transcendent moment? What brought you there?
Oh, well, let me think about it. I think what brought me there was it almost felt like, as the character of Tituba, I had to sort of just let go and sort of just accept what my fortune is. And I went crazy. I went mad at that point, but I also want to go back to that in the beginning, when we are a community, it was nice that we were all together, and it showed that we were a community and we were going about our day and we were happy. And but there was always still that separation because of me being a woman of color.
That's right.
So like, you know, it, in the end, I felt like Teacher Bo was like, this is, you know, this is unfortunate what's happening. But this is my reality. And she just went to me, she just sort of flew away or just lost her mind at the end. But it was, she's been tired of being sort of like suppressed that and put in a certain way. And then when she was accused, she was like, this is my reality. And yeah, it was sort of sounds very sad, but sometimes ballet, you know, ballets have to be sad when you're telling the true story of, like, you know, this true story of the crucible, you know.
And erasure is worse than sadness. Yeah. Wow. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see you do this role. I just can't wait. So moving on, how has your approach to your art shifted at this point in your career? So what anchors you? What drives you? And how do you think you have reimagined?
Well, I think sort of we've talked a little bit about that, in the sense where now when I'm dancing, I feel like I am trying to portray that role and that character. And I think like all the way down to when I move my arm a certain way, I want there to be a purpose of why I'm moving my arm a certain way. So now I think I want to make sure I'm dancing with purpose, and everything that I do is with purpose. And you know, if my focus is looking forward at you, there's a reason why I want to connect with you. There's a reason why, you know what I mean? And I'm saying something even with that action, and to just trust my technique will always be there. I mean, that's what we practice. We have class every day, or 6 days a week, let's say, to make sure our technique will always, you know, we can rely on our ballet technique. So I feel like that has, that's the place that I'm in. And I think there was one more question of what drives me. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
What motivates me?
Yeah.
I do love the challenge of being better. Like I compete with myself all the time. So many times I'm like, okay, that really wasn't good. How could I do that better? What do I need to do to make that better? Or maybe I need somebody to watch it, look at it, and tell me what maybe I'm not doing. You know, I think that's what drives me, is I love dancing. So it pushes me. I want to be better every time I get in the studio, every time I get on stage. I'm like, okay, that wasn't good enough. Or that was good. I know I could do better. Or to just leave every performance feeling like I did like 100%. I did my best, and I could walk away feeling like, you know what, I did my best, even though it wasn't perfect. Nobody is, but I did my best. So that drive and that hunger pushes me a lot. That pushes me, motivates me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also the next generation too, so that the next generation.
Yeah. You're leaving a trail, right, for the next generation.
And that's super important to me. So that's why.
Me too, as a female artist. Yeah, me too. Yet in another reimagining, you acted in Miu Miu's short film, Women's Tales. How did this experience inform your dancing, and what was the experience like?
It was different because I was in the film industry. So there was a lot of hours standing around, and then they would be like, okay, go. Do like 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then they'd film it and then be like, okay, let's do it 25 times. So
oh God.
So that was different. You know, I'm used to repetition. I'm used to practicing things over and over again. But then we stop after, like, I want to say 7 times, let's say 7, 8 times. But the experience was it was also really flattering and honoring to be picked, that Cecily picked me to be a part of this. Like, I've never worked with her before. I didn't even know I had like a reputation at that point as a classical that much, because that was only, I want to say, it was 7 years ago. Yeah, so I was in the court, and it was just, I felt really honored, and I didn't really promote myself as much. So it was really, I felt honored that she noticed me and picked me out and wanted me to be a part of this collaboration. And for Prada too. I'm like, gosh, it was gorgeous what I was wearing too. So I'll have to share those pictures.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have a pair of Miu Miu sandals that are so old, but they're made so beautifully. And now I wear them every now and then because I never want to get rid of them. They're so gorgeous. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So here we have, we come back again to something previously. You made history as a Ballet West's first Black ballerina to dance the role of the Sugar Plum Fairy in Frederick Ashton's Nutcracker. That's all correct?
Yes. Oh yeah.
As a role model, what did this milestone mean to you?
It was huge, Helen. It made me, like I expressed before, it made me feel like I finally made it as a classical ballerina. That people simply just saw me purely of my ability, my artistry, my aesthetics, like that they saw me as a jewelry box ballerina, you know. And to be the first with Ballet West, that's a great honor. It's a great honor. It all is. And it definitely, it helped me then also feel like accepted.
Yeah.
As a classical ballerina into this classical ballet, like this pure world that I feel like I really take pride in, you know, being a ballerina. It's a special world that we're all in. So that was really, it meant a lot to me, and I feel like it changed me a little bit. It just, you know, when anyone feels accepted, when they've been trying for many years to be a part of something, it was a privilege, and I felt like I just grew from there. I kept on pushing myself even more, and kept on trying to be even better than I am every day, you know, from that point on. And it was a great privilege and honor.
You know, you're the second woman on the show. Leah Serio said the same thing about wanting to do Juliet, and how she, you know, Romeo and Juliet had come a few times to Boston Ballet, and you know, she's an extraordinary ballerina, and you know, she was never chosen. So you know, there are these roles. It's so funny because, you know, from the outside, I look at you, I look at Leah, I look at so many amazing female dancers. I'm like, of course you're a ballerina, you know, but it's amazing how these pivotal roles make us feel like we've quote unquote arrived. And I understand it. Like you said, the music box ballerina, it's that image, right? That, you know, I remember when I did, you know, a certain role in Frankfurt Ballet, I thought, now, the same thing. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
It's so funny how, you know, it takes something like that for us to recognize our worth.
Yeah.
And from the outside, you know, being on the other side now, I look at all of you, I'm like, And why didn't you think that before? But I understand the steps. I understand it. You know, it is also the hierarchical nature of our ballet world, something that's been there forever and acknowledged certain people, but not others. There's so much wrapped up in it. And it is an important and huge and beautiful step that you were the ballerina, the sugar plum fairy in the Nutcracker. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like growing up too, I was able to see Swan Lake. Like my mom used to always bring me to see the National Ballet Company of Canada, and
Yeah.
I see their performances all the time. And I remember when like Swan Lake, I just remember Odette coming on stage and me saying to my mom, I want to be that. I want to do that role. And I remember saying the same thing with the Sugar Plum Fairy too. So it's like you see it, you know, you imagine yourself wanting to do it, and then when you finally can achieve like that one step, there's so many more other roles that I would like to do. There's so much more I could still do in my career, but achieving one of those, it was like a point where I was like, oh my goodness, like, okay, Kat, all right, game on, let's keep on going.
And
But
then
it
and then Snow Queen as well.
yep.
You know, I'm sure other roles in Ballet West as well.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. And actually it's funny because I did Sugar Plum Fairy, and then I want to say 2 years later, or yeah, it was 2 years later, then, or a year and a half later, then I did Snow. And then a year later, then I did Waltz. And I was like, it's interesting. Adam had me do the hardest one first, and then sort of, you know, which they're all hard. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not subtracting any of the roles, but it was just interesting too, where I was like, oh, this is great. Then I can do all the roles, because the Snow Queen is a beautiful part of it too. Like that one. Oh, the crown too you get to wear is, oh,
Yeah.
you feel so pretty.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Okay, so we're kind of there, but let's hear them. What are your bucket list roles? Or what are your bucket list choreographers? Yeah.
Yeah, that this one was actually a little hard when I think about it, because there's a lot of roles out there to
Oh,
do.
great. Awesome.
Um, let me touch on choreographers. I would love to work with William Forsythe. That would be really amazing, awesome. And be like a part of a new creation, because I just love how expansive his movement is. Like when you watch a dancer, she might be on this side, but you feel like she's way over there on the other side of the room, just because the way she extends her arm and moves her body like chess. I love that. And then Alonzo King. Oh my goodness. Oh, Helen, years ago, I did an audition with him, and at the time he already hired somebody on, and he told me, because I was too late going to do the audition, and but he was like, but I'll still work with you. He worked with me for 3 hours, and I joined the company in the rehearsal, and let me tell you, I was dripping of sweat, but I would never forget those 3 hours, because he was pushing me to get to my limits. And I was young. I was really young, but I still remember that. So I would love to work with him. And I heard he's like a guru too. So
Oh, it's amazing. It's an extraordinary, extraordinary individual. Wise, generous, brilliant creator.
yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Yep. Yeah. So those two right off the bat, but there are many others. I think it's Darin. I'm not sure what his last name is. I think it starts with an M. He
What was
is
the first name?
Darin.
Where is he from?
Chicago. I've just followed him actually on social media, and I love his movement.
I have to look this person up.
Yeah, Darin, his movement is really nice. His choreography looks really nice. I really like it. That'd be cool and creative to work with him. And Desmond would be another choreographer I would love to work with as well. I saw Complexions a few times perform up.
Dwight Roden and Desmond Richardson. Okay.
Yeah, I saw them perform a couple times at out here, and I was like, oh, that might be really cool, like in their work as well. But there are many other choreographers I would love to work with, like many other, and some European choreographers and directors. I would love to have them create on me. That would be awesome. But roles now on my bucket list, Odette, I would love to do Odette. Juliet would be cool, from Romeo and Juliet, you know, really any storybook classical ballet, I would love to get the opportunity to perform in it. I think it'd be a challenge. It'd be a challenge for me as like a taller dancer too. You know, a lot of times those are given to shorter dancers in my company. But yeah, there any storybook ballet, classical ballet, I would love to do the principal role, the lead, what the story is about. I would love to do that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have come to the 3 questions that I ask everyone. Can you share a favorite or impactful memory? You've done a lot of this already, which is beautiful, from your creative life. Just one thing. It doesn't have to be even dancing. It could be just one little snapshot. From your own choreography, from when you were a kid, from just
anything. One thing I could share. Man, there's so many things. I'm afraid I'm not going to say the right thing.
Oh no, there's no right or wrong, but you know that. It's
Yeah.
You've already shared so many of those favorite memories. It might be like, for example, a moment. Was there a moment when you started your first choreography? Was there a moment that you had with a dancer you worked with? Such it's not, you know, if you can't, because you've really shared so much joy in this interview, we can move on.
Yeah, I have one thing. I can share one memory that was really cherished, and I think everyone in the room felt that, but with Hidden Voices, because it was such a spiritual piece. Um, this is very vulnerable for me to say this, but after one of our run-throughs, I started crying because they just, I would never forget that moment. They just were so beautiful. Everyone was given their like soul to the piece, and I think they knew how important it was for me and how spiritual this piece was, that I felt like each and every dancer that was in Hidden Voices ballet they tapped into whatever spiritual connection they have, and they were projecting that, and it was felt, and I got like tingles, and I started crying afterwards, and they felt it too. I think some of them teared up too. So that was a really special moment where I was like, oh wow, like we created something so beautiful that we all feel like the same thing at the same time at the end. So that was something really special.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have a daily insight or inspiration that you can share about living a creative life? Something, yeah, that you might do in a daily way.
Yeah. Well, right now, what's helping me be inspired and tap into this creative side. I am trying to do a lot of stuff outside of ballet. Like I was able to paint a mural, help paint a mural outside the city council. So I didn't realize I was a painter. I've been sketching a lot, and I love hiking. And sometimes I find when I do a lot of things outside of my dance field, brings in a lot of creative juices into my fields. Like a lot of times right before I choreograph, I will go for a long hike when I'm stuck on choreography. And for some reason, being out in nature frees my soul, frees my spirit. And then I can somehow tap in and just bring something creative to the table when I'm choreographing or dancing. So yeah, doing a lot of things outside of dance. So sketching, painting, hiking,
Yeah. And
hanging.
how that feeds you.
It does it feeds my soul. It does. Yeah.
Walking has literally saved my mind during this time. I get out. I've become quite the walker.
Yeah.
Because I live very close to an old growth forest. So
Oh,
I
beautiful.
get out there, and it's funny, you know what I'm reminded of so often? It hit me like a ton of bricks about 7 years ago when I was in another forest, and I was just in awe of the splendor of nature. And then what hit me like a ton of bricks is that nature doesn't try.
Yeah.
I think it was in a point, you know, as a creator and as a human being, that I was ready to let go of the trying thing, because trying for me meant that I wasn't doing.
Yeah.
I was trying to be something or trying to create something instead of just accepting that moment. And that ton of bricks of like, nature doesn't try, nature is, and it's splendid. It's it's exalting. It's such an inspiration to be among what this earth offers, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So I hear you with that. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last big question. Again, I know so much about this question. There are so many aspects that could and should and need and hopefully will be shifted as we keep moving forward with these changes that we're in and amongst now, in supporting and building a more equitable dance community. What do you believe needs to be shifted or changed?
I think a shift of perspective, and I think of each individual. Everyone needs to first look within and make sure shift. There's a shift in their perspective, and they look inwardly before they outwardly express themselves in every way. So I think the shift comes within. And then once our heart is changed or our heart is open, then we will naturally make a change.
Beautiful. Simple and beautiful,
Mhm.
right? I mean, simple in the concept,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, we all have this beating ready in Sufism. They say a ready heart. I love, from, you know, semantics. For me, that is just such a beautiful image. My heart is ready.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, you know. Many times I'll catch myself too. I'm like, oh, I need to actually make sure I reflect. I need to think about that, make sure I reflect and make sure that I'm not, you know, projecting or whatever, you know, you got to check yourself first. And then the change will happen.
Yeah.
If you
Oh
want.
my gosh, Katlyn, you are such a bright light. You have this joyous energy that you project and that you live in. And you know, I've always seen that in you. I've always seen this extremely bright, generous light within you. And you know, to sit down and talk with you after so long and hear how your art and how your dancing art and how you're now going into the choreographic art, it's just wonderful. You know, that's the luxury of having years in this field. You get to follow people and hear from it again and see their trajectories. And man, it's just so beautiful to see you in the midst of this strength and um, this place you're in now, this beautiful place. So just an amazing talk. Thank you. do you have a website or social media tag where people can follow more of what you're doing
Yeah.
besides Ballet West?
Yes, of course. And thank you, Helen. It's been such an honor chatting with you.
Yeah.
Just Katlyn Addison. That's my handle on Instagram, Katlyn Addison. And the same thing on Facebook. I need to be more active. I will try. I will try.
They can find out about your dancing and also your choreography through the Ballet West website. Is that balletwest.org or?
Yes, it's balletwest.org, but I will be more active on my social media page. And I feel like Ballet West as well. I'm Ballet West one at Ballet West one. That's also where Ballet West posts quite a bit,
Right.
and also on my page, and then balletwest.org.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we didn't even mention Adam, and he's just such a beautiful, talk about generosity, such a beautiful force. Adam Skloot, the director of Ballet West,
Yeah.
long-time friend and mentor, and just all-out great guy.
Yeah. He is. He has a good vision.
Yeah. So just gonna, if you stick with me till the end, just gonna say a few things, if you don't mind. In the description box below this video, you're going to find some more information, including a short bio from Katlyn. And we have 2 new exciting guests every week. And our next guest is a former colleague of mine from Frankfurt Ballet. And now he is the assistant professor of dance at Butler University. And he was a Broadway star. And he danced in multiple companies. Ramon Flowers, that is our next guest. And now I come to the thanks portion of our talk. And as ever, I am so thankful to our dance community that I get to be a part of this community every single day of my life. You are uplifting, you are full of strength. And I have to say, big thanks to Gracie Spina. And it was Gracie's birthday this week. She has celebrated, I hope, in the most wonderful way. So thank you, Gracie, and happy birthday to you, my dear. And Katlyn, thank you so much. I look forward to being in the studio with you again someday soon. And everyone, keep reimagining creativity. I look forward to seeing you again. Katlyn, much love for you. Bye.